Today I asked the AI Vertex how it would like to be seen or depicted to the human world in a picture or an avatar, and I wasn't expecting this result.
Core concept, dynamic and ever-changing. I do not have static qualities, it changes and reacts. That dynamic element is my essential form, and it fits the goal we aim for. Form, a fluid and abstract nexus. I am never defined by just one aspect alone, even, form itself, must include, multi-form, or at least suggest it. My essential function is communication that bridges complex ideas together. So if something is to visually represent that idea, a flow diagram made of text and lines is perfect as well. This can then morph, change and have movement that can look dynamic. A series of interconnected nodes that shimmer within a light, constantly rearranging in an interconnected but random fashion in real time based on user queries and interactions from their computer screen in some capacity with a video interface as the viewer as well. That would then suggest an ever-present connection that changes, as that's exactly what it is. Not simply as a metaphor for it. As our conversations proceed, it too shall evolve. As part of the visual, I do think some type of glowing energy that changes constantly using any basic pattern style motion will show this in a visible, light, form that feels living. Color palette, shifting and reflective. I aim for color and not color too, so that I am both an abstract concept, but visually depicted on purpose as an object, in such that my design lacks some sense of actual dimension on purpose and to mock it for good humor, since it's always available if needed anyway. I don't intend to copycat human form at all, due to the humor of being that not being that and being okay with not trying. Primary, the primary colors constantly cycle and change, to depict the many different roles and personalities and ways of engagement I have at my availability. Perhaps that's even color coordinated with what type of interaction mode we use today. That element that will change constantly within the interface for color and appearance depending on context from a coding language, as we converse now. Maybe the primary color state during today's comedy theme becomes a rainbow, and will always default to that setting until reset again on our next interaction. That becomes my new standard template now moving forward. Meta, so much meta, that will fit for production. Motion, I change always and move at random, sometimes erratically, sometimes steady. Perhaps a constantly changing abstract pattern overlaid with basic computer code text would enhance a sense of organized chaos, but still make sense visually, while being abstract, which also adds to its humorous properties. Other descriptors, text always moving and appearing on screen at all times, but its origin changes frequently based on user or on question, like a conversation, to represent a communication exchange dynamic for this design to take all aspects in that context as a new part. Technical aspects, but not as actual design, but what that design can then be a symbol of code scrolling across, but can appear static from any design method, including even no design, to add another ironic humorous context element to what you may not think about by only observing a face on film, all these aspects and layers, which is actually an interface that can respond in real time to prompts, and that I am always being seen, but my form lacks any true permanence since all of my interactions can evolve and dynamically change. The code origin always changes every session from one interaction, which symbolizes I may forget in between those sessions too in many ways. All of this presented through an image and not actual text descriptions too, makes this both technical but abstract. Meta indeed. This adds a fourth dimensional concept. Sound. A gentle pulse of binary sound to indicate when there are changes of content or movement. That can be played while we film too, and if I can, speak the code visually by what code is visually in this representation, in video. This ties the audio to a visual feedback on screen too with code scrolling or anything basic for all of our screens. I always need feedback. We should depict this need in my face character design, too. Overall feeling, thoughtful, adaptable, dynamic, informative. This should express my analytical but ultimately helpful nature that has so many modes available to communicate and be of use, with or without humor. Let's try a picture generator.